And welcome in everybody to the first ever interview edition of Fighting for Overtime. If you've been following the Fighting for Overtime podcast, it's much appreciated. Make sure you get those subscriptions up, those ratings, those reviews. We just dropped episode 5, but this is a very special episode. This is going to be the first actual coach that we get experiences from, whether it be Division I, whether it be Division II, whether it be high school. It doesn't matter. We want all the opinions. Joining me today is Justin Newton. Coach Newton, you can follow him at JNewton0729, is the head men's basketball coach at Reinhardt University. And again, he's the former Division I basketball coach of Andrew College and was selected as the Reinhardt University coach on April 10th of 2019. Under Coach Newton, in the past 4 seasons, Reinhardt has had 3 seasons in the top 2 of the AAC and coached over 12 all-conference selections. He started coaching in 2011 as the head boys basketball coach at his alma mater, which is Victory Christian School in North Augusta, South Carolina, and turned an 8-win team into 18-4 conference championship squad in his first and only season as coach. And the lineage is there. Newton's father, Timothy Newton, was coach of that same Victory Christian for 20 years with 9 state championships during that tenure. And by the way, fun fact, Coach Newton is the school's all-time leading scorer and record holder for a three-pointer. Sound like we have another Steph Curry or a la Caitlin Clark here on our hands. But Coach Newton, man, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me, man. Really excited to be here.
I know it's a busy time for you. You have a lot of recruiting going on. You have the off-season conditioning program. Just overall, what is like the off-season like as a head coach of a college basketball team?
Well, I think it varies, for levels, different levels. If you're in Division I, most of your guys start reporting in June, and you could be, getting ready for an overseas tour. Whereas at our level, the NAIA level, very similar to NCAA Division II or NCAA Division III, your athletes are not here in the summertime. So, you're Zooming, you're keeping contact with those guys on our off-season program and, holding them accountable on the things that they need to be doing with preparing coming in August. But the off-season is a ton of recruiting, ton of camps. That takes up most of the time for me in the summertime when the guys aren't here, just hitting the roads, trying to cast a wide net, getting future Reinhardt Eagles and running camps for youth and outreach and things like that, just to promote our program and get people excited about Reinhardt.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part. I mean, the outreach is always the biggest part of getting the community involved and that people understand basically what the culture and the program is all about and bringing that full circle. It's just a general question. You've been doing this a long time and you're continuing to do it. You have youngsters of your own that will be doing this one day. What is your most enjoyable part about coaching? What do you like the most about being a head coach in basketball?
Man, that it is so hard to put it on just one thing, but I did. Yeah, I've been asked this question several times, but I think the reason, I played, obviously, that I just loved being a part of a team, and I didn't ever want that to stop. I grew up very shy, very introverted, very conservative family. But when you're out there on a team, there are people from different backgrounds, different religions, different races, different upbringings, and you're a family. And that can be corny, but it's just fun. I get a new team, a new family every year, and it's just fun to go to work. And it's that community of people that you get thrown into because, in other workforces, it's hard to get that community within, your family. Sometimes you feel isolated. We never feel isolated over here. It's a family affair. My wife, my kids, all get to be around the guys all the time. So that's probably my favorite part, other than the competing and the getting better and the trying to win games and things like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You say family. It's funny because we were talking all fair, and this is going to be looks like my last year coaching my youngest, and I've been coaching for over 20 years. And it's like, whenever I say my kids and I hold conversations, I have 3 children of my own, but when I say my kids, I'm talking about my program, all my kids, right? Like, you are, I got this another episode. You for most part are the defining force in that child's life. No matter, you need to own that. Like, you have to understand that they're looking up to you. They're looking at you because at home, I hate to say it, sometimes they may feel like they can get away with some things with mom and dad. We've all been there, right? But the coach is the coach. It's like, what do I need, coach? What do you need me to do? And the family thing is extremely important. And we've talked about youth sports over the years, how the world has evolved in this youth sports journey from an elementary to a collegiate level. It's changed dramatically, in my opinion. What would you say has been the biggest change to date, whether it be positively or negatively?
Yeah, I think when you're talking about like youth sports, I think it's just for longer now. For especially I knew baseball was probably ahead of everybody else, or how it's just an all long year thing, and you hear the stats about like 70% of kids burn out before they get to eighth grade in baseball. I think you may even start to see that in basketball with the new, and some of it is good. I love the new Scholastic June period to where we can go out and see kids with their high school teams. But I mean, even as young as third grade, I mean, their AAU season is starting the second that their basketball season is over. So you're getting a lot less, in my opinion, variety of kids playing football, baseball, basketball, all together. At the base level, at the youth level. In the college level, it's definitely, I mean, there's no question that the transfer portal has changed everything. And, you got fans of that and you got people that hate it or what, but the fact of the matter is it is what it is, and it's never going back. And that's what it is. It's a new team every year. And some, Purdue had talked about in the last 5 years, they only had, I think, 2 people transfer out. I feel that I hadn't had a whole lot of that, but I have benefited from the portal, and it changes the way that you recruit. Even if you recruit high school kids, you can get a better high school kid than you used to could. So I think those are the 2 things that stick out to me the most as far as what's changed in the last few years.
And that's a great answer. And I'll say this to everybody. It's why I love doing these programs. Again, we're talking to Coach Newton, Justin Newton. You can follow him at JNewton0297 on X. He is the head men's basketball coach for Reinhardt University. And it's always fun to see the other side. Like you just said, I would have never even thought when you talked about transfer portal, where you were saying you've kind of benefited from that, right? And like in a sense, I don't even think of that way. Everybody's talking about, oh, it's terrible. People are going from school to school, but then here's a program like you were saying, hey, listen, we have more opportunity now to bring other players in that may not have known our program, correct?
Right. I mean, it's a numbers game. There are far fewer opportunities than there are, good players. I mean, there are good players everywhere, man. So, whether people talk about, man, we're going to take high school kids and build it the right way, or we're going to take transfers. You can only win with older guys. Man, I think they were all high school kids at one point. That a kid's a kid. If they fit the need and they fit the culture and they fit the system, man, recruit them. Players win games. You need good players. So if they fit that and it fits their, they're going to graduate and all those things, man, recruit them. And if a kid wants to leave, a coach could, if I got a job offer for $50,000 more today, I might be on the first train smoking. So why can't the kid do that? So I think that's just the new world we live in. I think we're on the pendulum swing of it going really far. I think it's new. We're going to have to put some guardrails on it for sure. But I think we're in the figure it out stage, I think, of it right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're the guinea pigs, right? I mean, in all actuality, we're the guinea pigs, and it's you said it before, it's not going away. So we have to get used to it. We have to adjust. We have to pivot. Now, you did talk about burnout, and that's been one of my favorite topics. Starting this Fighting for Overtime podcast about kids being burnt out at such a young age. I've talked to so many kids. I've coached many kids that don't finish high school sports because by junior year they're done, they're burnt out. They're just like, coach, I can't do it anymore. I've been doing this every single weekend. I just brought up about giving up your holidays for youth sports, families that don't take vacations anymore because it's tournament. Do you feel youth sports have become too demanding in this day and age? And if so, why would you feel that way?
Yeah, I think age and stage matter a little bit too, right? Like if you're a rising senior, of course your summer and you have aspirations of playing in college. I think that's different. I mean, that's going to be 6% of the youth sports that you're talking about. Yeah, they probably are going to be a little more busy and have the chance to burn out. But we're making the schedule for the 6%, not the 92% that aren't going to play that way. And if you're not, there's nothing wrong with a family vacation. There's nothing wrong with taking a month off or playing another sport or doing football. So I think the specialization, I think now, for the whole, I think it is a little much. I think the kids would benefit from a dial back, in that. Again, I think age and stage matter. If you're a college guy, you're fighting for scholarship dollars. That's a little different than, man, I'm in fourth grade and I need to be first to the punch. Man, in fourth grade, you just need to make sure you're going to make it to lunch on time. Like calm down. Like I think age and stage definitely matter. Are you teaching the game? Are they enjoying? Like, is it fun? Like if it's not fun, like without passion, you won't do hard things. If they're not having a good time, like don't waste the money, don't waste the time. So I think some of that definitely gets lost. There is a lot of, yeah, I think we're swinging on the air of a little bit too much for younger.
No, I like exactly the way you presented that because I feel honestly you have more experience than I do with the older level and obviously the more experienced level. And I've been saying the same thing. It's like there is going to be that percentage, right? There's going to be that percentage that need to do this, and we get it. We see it as coaches. You can pick out those kids, right? We know, okay, we know where this, but the thing is, there's no more intermediate anymore, and I think that's what a lot of people forget. When I was growing up, it was like you could play intramural, you could play travel, and then you could play like AAU, like elite travel. But now there's no intramural. So now you're either travel or you're not playing. And some of those kids aren't travel players, but they don't have anywhere else to go. And we're demanding of them, like you said, 6%. Though, well, that 94% left, we're demanding that same 6%, right? So it's really tough. And I do agree with you. Now, speaking of everything that comes with being an athlete nowadays, you as being a coach, what do you find the biggest challenges to keep these kids grounded? Because you have the social media aspect, you have there's so many aspects now that they see and hear. How do you as a coach keep them grounded?
Man, I think kids just yearn for something that's consistent and real and truthful, so like if you can show them in your approach that you're consistent in your message and what you say, and that you're authentic in your words, you're not trying to placate and get them to do something as a means. If you're just honest, I think the more honest you are and the more you talk and the more you're face to face, or the more you go sit down and eat lunch with them, or whatever, you're gonna have that relationship and that grounding for real life. Whereas social media, you don't want to be that guy, get off my lawn. That's just that, like the portal, it's never going back. Social media is what they deal with and what they see all the time, and you need to learn to speak their language and that stuff. But letting those people know that's a highlight tape, that is not real life, and we try and put them in real life situations, whether it's team church or team retreat, or doing something that has nothing to do with basketball, or doing really hard things in basketball and being like, that's good. Hard is good. Failure is good. Pushing them to their limits and saying, look, I know, man, it is hard. I feel your pain. Instead of calling them soft or weak, or back when I played, we would have done that. Man, be truthful. I know it's hard. I know what you're going through, but I mean, you got to do it. There's no way around it. Or the other way, fluffing around. It's okay, Johnny. We didn't make it. Be it just truth. I think truth and consistency are time tested and what people yearn for, and that's not any different with youth and teenagers or college athletes.
Yeah, you said one great word, and I stick to that, and that's authenticity. Be authentic, right? That's one of the biggest things you could be as a head coach. I say that all the time. We talked about us being that central figure in that child's life, and if you're not truthful with them and you're not honest, I mean, there's a way. to get up in somebody's ass a little bit, and just be like, hey, look, I need better from you. Like, I know you have it, but it's not just killing them about it, right? Like, yeah, because I see that too. And it's like, you have to understand that balance. And there's also, I think you'll agree with this too. The kids that can take that extra push and the kids that maybe can't, right?
Yeah. Well, it's demanding, never demeaning, right? And I think Brad Stevens was the one that said, like, the best leaders are warm and demanding, right? Like, when maybe 20 years ago, you could, football coach could grab a kid by the pads and I'm the coach, you do it. Well, I still think you can coach tough and be tough and promote toughness, but I do think you have to earn the right to be that, right? Like, they don't care how many wins you had. They don't care how many times you've done it versus what they only care about their experiences. So you do have to earn the right to be able to push them to their limits, and you have to, understand their language. Yeah, Johnny over here he played for a coach that, hooped and hollered some. That's what gets him going. This one did not. You need to sit down and talk with him and put A plus B equals C, over here. And I think that's just human beings, man. How I talk to my wife is going to be completely different than how I talk to my sister. Like, it's, you have to, people are human beings. You have to understand who you're talking to and how you approach them.
The human element is huge, man. It is huge. Again, this is the Fighting for Overtime podcast. I'm joined by head men's basketball coach over Reinhardt University, Mr. Justin Newton. You can follow him on X at JNewton0729. And coach, mental health has been on the forefront of everybody's minds. And it seems like it continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I know May was Mental Health Awareness Month. I'll be honest with you, I've said this before. I don't need a month to tell me it's important. I've gone through it myself. I've helped kids go through it. Along your journey as a coach, have you ever dealt with any kind of mental health impacts yourself as you've been coming up the chain, so to speak?
Absolutely. And again, that term is such a broad term too. It can cover so many things. But yeah, I think my second year in coaching, I dealt with very debilitating panic attacks, where I was almost a hypochondriac. You always think you're dying of something, and now it seems so comical to me, but it's not. I know that people have, and they're all different, varieties of that. Where I thought I was going insane, and it's not. So I had to deal with that, and I still deal with that somewhat, the stressors of being a dad and a husband and a coach and all that. And some of it you can't help. I have a family history, won't dive too deep in the weeds there, but I have a family history of some stuff like that. So yeah, I've dealt with that in my personal life, and I've also, you see it coaching human beings. I don't know the exact statistics, but in a room of 20, there's going to be 3 or 4 people at least that are dealing with that, and that number is growing, with social media and things like that. I've definitely had a whole lot more kids where you are sitting down talking about that every year, to the point now where we have a counselor come in at the beginning and mid every year to come and talk with them about those things, and giving them a safe space that they could talk to somebody about that stuff with.
No, you actually, you got me there, because that's exactly what I was going to ask, because I know a lot of the professional teams now have the team psychologist, the sports psychologist, and I was just going to ask, do you have somebody that comes in, and how often is that like an open door policy? And I mean, have you ever had a player that you've seen deal with something that came to you personally that you had to help through, or maybe lead them to the right way or right person they had to talk to?
Yeah, and I tell my guys, look, I am an ear. I am not a doctor. I am not what. So whether that's an injury or or mental health, hey man, I'm here to listen to your problems. And if it's something that I think we're talking man to man, that you can lead them in the right way, that's great. But there is a line to where it's like, hey man, you need some help beyond what I can give you. And at Reinhardt, I know it's different. When you talk about Division I, millions and billions of dollars, they can hire somebody specifically for that. Reinhardt does a great job of, we have somebody on campus that's in their entire job, where it's a student counselor, We make sure they know who that is and where that is. And I have a little card that sits on my desk right in here that has a little QR code that they can schedule that up. So I've had them do that before. But we also have other resources. We have a team pastor, or not pastor. He's FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Bill Queen. He's been a resource for me and our guys, and they come in once a week and we do team time. And it's not a church service or a preachy thing. It's really just they share from the Bible, but they also, man, we're here for you. We're here for your help. And we've had so many guys go reach out to them and use them as a resource, when things aren't going well at home or something in the nature of what you're talking about. And where it's not just me, because sometimes I could be the principal, right? Like coming in and talking to the principal's office or something, and having that other person they could talk to and rely on has been, I want to make sure we have that, in our program.
That's great. I love to hear that, because I feel like a lot of programs would benefit from that. I've dealt with a lot of mental health awareness issues within my community with kids that, whether they were treated the wrong way or they had a bad experience, and they're really, I'll be honest, I said I dealt with one person with my own son, and I say, I look at it as my son, I felt, was lucky that he had a strong support base. Like, what would happen if that kid didn't have a support base? What if he didn't have somebody to talk to, or didn't have somebody in his ear, So what you're doing is fantastic, because it opens that up. It gives them that outlet and that safe space, like you said, no judgment zone. So all the time, no judgment zone. And speaking of that, I think the other aspect is the parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think the parents really deal with it a lot more than people understand. They're so worried about, is my kid going to be in the right program? Is he getting the right playing time? Is he doing all the right things? Is he, I mean, your head is like spinning as a parent. So what would your advice be for I know you have two little ones as well. They're coming up, but I always say this: youth sports, we're not going to change it. It is evolving, and it's a beast on its own. My goal is to help the parent who has the 5, 6, 7-year-old just starting out on just, this is what you need to expect. Like, it's not all roses. It's not easy like this. So just be prepared. So what would your advice be to those parents just starting out?
Yeah, I think one, your job as a parent, you are looking out for your child. That's your perspective, and that's your job, and that's what you should do. I tell our guys all the time, your biggest fan, I hope, is your parents, and it should be, but they're a fan. You know what I mean? Like, so I would say you're looking through. When I look at a picture, I'm going to look right at me first, right? Well, the coach is looking at the team picture. When I watch film, I don't watch Johnny. I watch the whole team. And I think if we had it in that perspective, if we're going to play in team sports, understand it's not just about Johnny's experience. It's about that.
All right, you got it back.
What happened? I apologize.
That's all right. No problem. Not a big deal.
But it's about that. It's about that team. It's about the team's experience too. So I think teaching your kid about selflessness and making sure they're having a good time, is a whole lot more important than how many hits they got or how many minutes they got. And I know, everybody's their kid's biggest fan and wants it to be good and wants them to be the leading scorer, wants them to play a whole lot. And, but it's a team. It's a team, just making sure that we have that perspective on when we sign our kids up for things like that we go in it with that mindset. The old LeBron James quote, if you want to do it by yourself, play tennis or golf, right? Like, and if we're playing in team sports and baseballs and soccers and football, basketball, man, you gotta understand that there's 20 other Johnnies that are trying to have the same experience. So,
nah, it's great. I love it. And I really appreciate it. I'll get you out on this. I had a little fun question here, because you just say you were leader in 3-pointers, right? In a school. So your 3-point shot, man. I know everybody wants to jump on Steph, and everybody, you have Sabrina, you have Caitlin in WNBA, but who's your guy? Like, who's your 3-point guy, man? That you emulated yourself after?
oh man, JJ Redick. When I was playing, I loved JJ Redick. I think he was one of the most electric college basketball players to watch, just like Steph Curry was. And for perspective, I played at a very small level. It made me sound very good. I played at a very small Christian school, played a very small NAI, and I coach a lot better players than a player I was. But JJ Redick was definitely my favorite player when I was growing up, and so yeah.
I'm sure you still got the stroke though. So right.
Sure, my guys know, hey, I'm still one of the best shooters in the gym when I walk in the gym, for sure.
Exactly. All right, last one. Michael or LeBron?
Oh,
Ah.
man. You can pick one, but as far as my favorite, I like LeBron because I ask as a coach, you kind of look at as a coach now who I want to coach. I think he gets a bad rap for whiny and some of that stuff, but I think he's an unbelievable teammate. He's an unbelievable father. You watch The Last Dance and those things were awesome, but you don't see LeBron out there gambling or 4 different wives and man. He's taking care of his kids. He's been with the same wife since he was in high school. The dude got $50 million check when he's 18 years old, and he's one of the most generous giving athletes we've ever seen on the planet. He's been in more finals than almost anybody. I think we need to appreciate him while we got him. I love both, but if I had to pick one, I'm picking LeBron.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. That's a great answer because I'm a Michael guy, but what you just said is what I always talk about with LeBron. I don't think the side of him that gets highlighted enough is what he actually does, for communities, for his family. He does so much people don't even know because honestly, he doesn't always come out and talk about it, right? And that's the thing. I think if you dive into what he does, I mean, from the foundation to the scholarships, he does a lot more than anybody's ever done for the program. So I think that is fantastic. But Coach, I really appreciate it, man. This has been great. I love you joining me. I know we were trying to get this together. I really appreciate it. What do you have coming up in the off season right now for Reinhardt?
Yeah, like I said before, mostly recruiting. We'll do some elite camps and kids camps and things like that. So, and in the area, man, please stop by. And then we'll. It's a great place. Most people don't know Reinhardt's tucked up in the hills of North Georgia, about 40 minutes north of Atlanta. I encourage you to come to a game. Really, really special place up here. Great atmosphere, good athletes. So yeah, just mostly recruiting and camps, and then getting ready for those guys to arrive in August.
I can't wait to see it, man. I've been following along on X or Twitter, whatever we want to call it nowadays, but I'll continue to follow along, man. I appreciate it. This is the Fighting for Overtime podcast, the interview version. This is Coach Justin Newton. Make sure you give him a follow at JNewton0729. Follow all the good things about Reinhardt University. Everybody continue to keep on fighting for the right reasons, and we'll catch you back here next time.
Thank you, Tony.
Fighting for Overtime is a Rise and React media production. If you're looking to start a podcast, if you're looking to get some direction, hit us up, let us know. We'll help you out there as well. Again, for everybody, enjoy your time, memories and moments, and keep fighting that fight. Continue to fight in overtime to make your kid have the best experience that they can have when it comes to playing youth sports.